Hello everybody, welcome to part 5. When I discussed in part 4 what I was going to do for this series, it was, if you remember, going to touch on the electric guitars that I had recorded. To me, they seemed a little bit, I don't know if I'm using the right nomenclature, but they seem like they bite a little too hard in some instances of the song. So what I'm going to use is a frequency compressor and try and compress some of those biting frequencies, tame them down a little bit so it doesn't grab your ear so hard, but you can still hear it. I'm trying to make it a little more pleasing to the ear than it is now. It seems a little biting to me, but either way, part 5 is a pretty short video. It's only 15-20 minutes, I think, if that. It's like the first one. It's not very long at all. You guys will be happy about that. The past 3 videos have been 25-30 minute videos, and I know it's hard for people to sit through 30 minutes of me talking about techie stuff and such, but either way, I'm trying to make them short. But after that, we go on to part 6. Part 6 is going to be the mixing portion of the song. It's where I take all of the tracks that I have recorded and I balance them and bounce them all down to 2 stereo tracks. Now, there's a lot involved in that. I've got a fair amount of processing on. I'm right at the border of having too much on my my cores for processing. I'm at the limit as far as that goes. So what I've been trying to do is use the audio suite as much as I can to process things, so I can eliminate the open plugins that are on the channels and in the auxiliary inputs as much as I can. There are some that I have that I'm leaving on there, but pretty much the music's done. The only other thing I might do before part 6 is bring another vocalist in. I am still not happy with the way my voice sounds on this song. I think the words are there. I think, might maybe even tweak a couple of the lyrical lines in the song, but I would love to get another voice in there, preferably a female voice. I wouldn't be opposed to a male voice. I might not even be opposed to having a male and female voice kind of chase each other back and forth from verse to verse. I'm always open to that and open to new ideas. So fingers crossed, maybe I'll be able to rope somebody in here and showcase their talent. Probably won't film that. Part 6 is going to be the mixing portion. I'm not going to film the vocal session. I just don't feel the need to do it. But once part 6 is done, part 6 is going to probably take a good 4 hours, maybe even 5 to film. And then I'm going to try and whittle that down to a 20-minute video if I can. It's going to be hard, though. It might end up being 30 minutes. I'm going to do my best, though, to try and keep it between 15 and 20 minutes. Just try and hit the high points of what I did and explain to you along the way why I did certain things the way I did. And then, of course, after part 6 is part 7, and that should be, I'm crossing my fingers again, hoping that that's going to be the final episode. That's going to be the mastering episode of this current series. It's where I take, after the tracks have been mixed down to a stereo pair, I then feed them back into my machine, and then I master them. That means I get my big speakers working and listen to them through the great big ginormous speakers I have in the front room that I specifically use for mastering music. I really don't mix through them. I have 2 sets of different speakers that I mix through, a little satellite pair of computer speakers, and then a little bit bigger reference monitors and a sub. And more and more I'm getting away from the reference monitors and the sub, and using the computer speakers to do what I need to do for mixing. It seems to me that it's a little bit more of a contrast when I start with the reference monitors and then I go to the smaller speakers, and everything just sounds so out of whack. I rather start down there and then move up after the mixing portion, and once the mastering is done, and hopefully I'll nail it. We'll see. But either way, let's get started into part 5, and I'll show you what I did with the guitars. It's, again, a very short video. It should be painless for you. So here we go.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here with part 5 of the new song creation series of 2020. If you remember from the last video, I had told you that I'm going to try and work on some of the guitars, specifically the electric guitars that are on this track. Don't know if you remember, but I said they were kind of toppy, meaning that they sit in the top end of the frequency spectrum. They're a little bit bright to me. And rather than try and low pass filter them out, I'd rather try a frequency compressor and maybe compress some of the high frequencies and maybe some of the mid-high frequencies for that specific track. And just so happens I'd like to show you how to do that. Now, what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to open up an instance of let's find the guitar track first. You can't see what I'm doing because, of course, I have it somewhere else, but where are we at? Guitars, right here. So let's take that. Right now I have an EQ on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is the EQ is the first thing in the signal chain. I'd like to take and move that down one notch and put the frequency compressor in before the EQ. Now, I know I explained a little bit of this in the previous videos, but it's better to compress the signal first before it hits any type of EQ. That way, if you put the compressor after the EQ, the compressor fights harder to try and compress everything overall. But in this instance, it may work the other way around, since it's only a frequency compressor and it's not going to compress the entire frequency spectrum of where that guitar's sitting. It may work better after the EQ. So let's just take a look at it first of all, and we'll go from there. So we want a frequency compressor, and I got to remember where Pro Multiband Dynamics. Alright, so here we are. Now, as you can see right here, if you can see my pointer, 20 hertz all the way up to about, looks like 158 hertz. I really don't think any of that guitar sits in there, so let's solo up the guitar first of all and listen to what it sounds like. Actually, we'll do right there. So if you can see this wave in the background, that's actually where the guitar is sitting. So really it doesn't look like too much is in the high. There are some teeth going up here into the highs, and that it's like more of them are in the mid highs. So maybe what I do is approach this with just the mid highs and see if I can tame it a little bit. So Let's do this again. Let's. How do I? Give me 1 second here. Okay, so this is bypassed. This is the original way it sounds. And this is with... So actually that actually helped a little bit because it doesn't sound like it's as biting as it was before. Those higher notes kind of hit your ear in such a way. They kind of bite and grab. But now, that was bypassed. Now we're going to play it with the effect. Still a little bit of a bite. Let me see if I can take some of this down as well. Some of the high end. And we'll just do that. This is bypassed, unbypassed. I think that sounds a little better. It actually, to me, it's not as biting as it was before. So let's listen to it with the rest of everything. And
the time we have in life to spend.
And then my horrible vocals. Sorry about that. All right, well, I think that actually helped a lot. So basically, what I did, low, mid, high, high. My mid highs are between 800 hertz and 3.6 kilohertz, or 3600 kilohertz. So I'm attenuating at, I'm cutting it by 18.2 dB, and at a depth of 24, negative 20, actually my threshold is set at negative 18.2 dB, and my depth is actually set at negative 24 dB. And that is offering a little bit of attenuation. Whenever the signal is attenuated, I get a little meter on the side of my track here that indicates that it's being attenuated. It's not being attenuated very much. Even though it looks drastic here, I've got this dipped all the way down, and I've got my threshold pushed down a little bit. It actually helped. And then the highs over here, I attenuated those too, and I actually took those down even more, and it seemed to get rid of the bite quite easily. It's still there, it still reads, but it's not too much in my opinion. We'll really know once we get into mixing this whole thing as to what we need to do as far as that goes. But for right now, I think we're good with the guitars. I'm going to close that out. I don't know. I don't think there's anything else really that's going to be too out there. Wow. Maybe this is the end of part 5. Gosh, I did all this work for part 5 and it's not very long. That's okay though, because I have a feeling that the mixing, and that's probably going to be the next, that's probably going to be part 6, is the mixing portion. And that's when I'm going to take all of these tracks and I'm going to balance them out. And I'm going to try and do a little bit of this pre-mixing stuff ahead of time, so I don't take an hour to mix it. I'll probably do a lot of things, and then when part 6 comes around, I will go through and I'll explain what I've done, and there may be some things I do, and while we're filming part 6. And maybe what I'll do is I'll just do the actual bounce down to the single stereo track for part 6. And then part 7, which I'm hoping is going to be the last part in this series, will be the mastering portion. And that's going to be a little bit different of an approach to what we're doing. We're bringing things up to program level, and we're applying gluing type compression to everything. But we have to be very careful, because there are some things that are attenuated in this or compressed somewhat. Again, I never try and compress too much, because I know at the end there's going to be a certain amount of compression to kind of glue everything together. So I think what I'm going to do now is a lot of the rest of this before the mix is going to be me tweaking everything. I'll probably go back and adjust the echo effects on the vocals. Still looking for maybe somebody else to sing it. I don't know if we're going to get anybody else though, so we may have to go with my voice. And, it is what it is at this point. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. Take care, God bless, and rock on.